Okay, Chair, the meeting is recording. I'll hand over to you to start.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to East Devon District Council's Leisure Strategy Delivery Forum meeting on the 13th of January 2026. I'm your chair, Councillor Sam Hawkins. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Council's YouTube channel. Now, I remind members that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting. We also reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant who's disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn all telephone devices off or to silent. In the event of breaking the internet connection, please bear with us as we try to reconnect after 15 minutes. If we're not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. If you wish to comment, please raise your electronic hand and wait to be called. We'll now start the meeting by doing a roll call of forum members present.
Thank you. Councillor Arnott, please. Councillor Arnott?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Bloxham?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Goodman?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Hawkins?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward? Councillor Hookway?
Oh, I think Councillor Hayward probably is sending his apologies. He was very unwell this morning, I know.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Councillor Hookway, please.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Young?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor King?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Loudon?
Present, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. And Councillor Smith? He's not with us. I can confirm that we're caught, Chair.
Right, thank you, Sarah. Agenda item 1 is minutes of the previous meetings held on the 16th of September 2025, pages 3 to 6. If there are any members with any comment on the minutes, please raise your electronic hand. If there are no issues, I assume you're content with the matters on those minutes. I see no hands, thank you. Agenda item 2, apologies, Sarah.
Only from Councillor Hayward. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 3 is declarations of interest. If there's any members who want to declare an interest, then please raise your electronic hand now. Don't see any for the moment. Councillor Hookway.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just to state that I'm a County Council member for Exmouth and Budleigh, Salford and Coastal Division. Thank you.
Thanks. Just to help Sarah out, which item is that in relation to?
Just in general, just to cover myself, really. Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item 4, public speaking. There are no members of the public registered to speak. And agenda item 5, matters of urgency. There are no matters. Agenda item 6, we've got 2 confidential exempt items listed as items 11 and 12. Agenda item 7, the LED facilities and activities update. January 26, pages 7 to 11. Matt, got you down as introducing this item from LED.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As with always, it's very much, I hope everyone's had a bit of a read. I don't know if people have any kind of questions that are linked to it. I think a lot of good stuff going on, and particularly from that kind of communities side of things. But at the same time, as you'll see kind of from the performance dashboard, and I'll provide a bit more of an update when I talk through that, we've had a reasonably challenging time with regards to additional competition entering the market locally, as well as I think we are starting to see some trends as well relating to, I think, people where they're a bit more challenged financially at the moment. We're finding that actually the pay-as-you-go usage seems to be increasing, but that kind of commitment to a membership does seem to be a bit challenged. So yeah, interesting times. And like I said, I'm kind of more than happy to answer any questions that there might be.
Great, thank you. Any comments or questions from members? No. Councillor Loudon.
Sorry, Sam, I was trying to reach my virtual hand. Matt, I was just wondering, under the new initiatives and projects, could you just sort of slightly expand upon the project that you've identified there? Because it reads as something that ought to be interesting and widely available, if I've understood it correctly.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that's coming on, and often I think we because of the funding that's available for the communities team, we tend to run almost pilots. So we run something in reasonably small numbers to be able to then show the success of that project, to then allow us to look at additional funding to allow us to roll it out over a wider kind of group. So yeah, I think like you said, there's a lot of very good things going on, but often at the moment we are a little bit restricted to kind of carrying them out in fairly small sample groups.
Chair, can I just come back? I suppose what I was after was just trying to understand what it was trying to achieve, what the project was, how it worked.
Sorry, which project are we discussing in particular? I'm just trying to look through
got
there.
new initiatives and projects on
Yes.
page 10. You've got the menopause project at Ottery, and I was just trying to understand. I mean, a lot, it clearly doesn't affect me, but my understanding is that there is more and more openness and discussion about the issue of the menopause for women, and I was just wondering what this project was.
I could come back with some further information when it's some of the real detailed stuff like that. I wouldn't want to provide a summary that wasn't completely accurate.
Okay, all right, not to worry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Been to other hands. Thank you, obviously, Matt, and obviously everyone at LED for the update there. It's really helpful and good to see some great work going on. Sticking with you on agenda item 8 is the KPI dashboard. If there's anything you wanted to add, it sort of speaks for itself to a certain degree.
Yeah, fairly self-explanatory, I think, and it's like I've kind of referenced earlier, it is showing that we've seen a decent increase in attendances, but when you look at our club live, we've been in a reasonably privileged position, I think, where most of the time we're reporting on these, we're showing kind of growth. And for the first time, I think I'm sitting here telling you we've gone the other way. And this report at the moment, that dashboard is actually from November because of the deadline for providing information. If you look at going through the December one and even the start of January today, that's compounded even further. So, we're looking at January at the moment. When you do a comparison against this time last year, a site like Exmouth Leisure Centre has actually seen nearly a 12% decline in its club life. And that's all happened in the last kind of 3 or 4 months since we've had the increased competition, which is, when you start calculating that as a value, it's circa 220k a year. So it's quite a significant amount to try to mitigate. And I think what's even more challenging is that typically we're finding the demographic of members that have chosen to go across to Pure Gym tend to be those members who they'll come in, they scan through the turnstiles and they have their headphones on and they don't want to talk to anyone, they don't have any sort of questions. So actually you'd find the majority of that membership is almost self-sufficient, so it drops straight down to the bottom line. So it's very difficult to see a reduction in our costs related to staffing, because actually those people that have moved across to a facility that is not that doesn't have the same level of kind of customer interaction for a reason. So yeah, a reasonably challenging time, and I've been through this before a number of times in other contracts, and you do see a bounce back. It's just the damage it causes in that interim period.
Yeah, I guess it's a different customer profile that it's showing, isn't it? The different customer demographics in the area, and therefore picking their route. Is that are they like local issues there? Or is the industry as a whole seeing a bit of a downturn at the moment, or
I think speaking to others, I think obviously ours has been massively. I think there's an element of stagnation, speaking to others, but not seeing the damage that we have seen. I think that is, if I'm being completely honest, it's probably Exmouth Leisure Centre was quite protected from having a real big budget operator in the town. So it's probably overperformed for a period of time. And now that we do have that additional competition, it makes a big impact. And, we're all aware of the fact that, Exmouth Leisure Centre is the, if there is a cash cow within the estate, that's the site that generates that surplus. So yeah, I think that's challenging, and it's not just Exmouth Leisure Centre. Obviously, the tennis centre has also seen an impact, and we've got a local operator who runs a kind of a budget type offering, but on a local rather than a national scale, who has obviously expanded their offering in Honiton. So we're starting to see some challenges there, and has just announced obviously that they've taken over a big venue in Sidmouth. And I think sometimes there is only, when you look at latent demand, there's only a certain number of people who are your potential customers. And even if someone else opens up who you think, actually, we can do things better than them, they are always going to take a share of that market. So yeah, we're doing everything we can. We ran some reasonably, well, I'd say very significant kind of retention campaigns, and did a lot of work when they first opened. And actually, I think that kind of held back the impact by a couple of months. And probably we were looking at it going, actually, this might not be quite as bad as we'd first modelled. But the last couple of months, we're starting to see that real kind of draw. I think potentially we were a little bit fortunate that there was obviously quite significant roadworks in Exmouth when they first opened, which I think was causing all sorts of issues for people. But now that's all kind of smoothed over. It's we're starting to really see the impact of that. So yeah, and I think Pure Gym, it suits a very certain market. It's it is cheap, it is 24 hours, and often with these things, it's new, it's shiny. You build something and people will come, and we've got, we know that our sites are probably far from shiny. We do what we can, but the buildings are of a certain age, and I know, I think I referenced it in my previous report. We've had a few challenges, which I know, facilities team at EDDC are desperately trying to sort with regards to things like shower temperatures at Exmouth Leisure Centre. But it's all those sort of bits that we're starting to find people are getting less and less kind of sympathetic of, because it's been going on for a little bit of time.
No, that's really helpful. Thanks. I think it's probably a good thing is that the NPS score is 56, and if I've read the report right, that's way above industry averages. I know from what you've mentioned before. So it's almost what you're doing on the ground is right. It's just the markets around you impacting. That's good to hear. Tim, did you want to come in on those points?
Yeah, thank you. Not on the shower issue, but more on the chuckle from Matt there. More on the so on the dashboard swimming, it's showing a significant increase in current month versus prior month of from 16 up to 21,000. I think it probably should be green, not red, but I suppose it's more just understanding.
Yeah.
But forgetting the colour, just what's obviously. Which is current month? Is that December, presumably?
November.
Or
So sorry, it's the prior year's month. So it's effectively because we changed it, didn't we? Probably about a couple of meetings ago, because we were profiling against prior month, which led to a bit of seasonal. Yeah.
Sorry, that's my mistake. It does actually say prior year month. So on the swimming, we've done extremely well. And is that it's got the numbers have gone up from 16 to 21,000. So is that sort of across all of the sites? So is there a particular site that's a large element of that's attributed to?
No, so it's spread fairly evenly. And I think when we were going through it, and we were doing some work on it recently with Katie, who's just come back from maternity leave, who leads on all of our aquatic stuff. We were effectively attributing a lot of it to weather. I'd love to say that, you know, we've made some real significant changes, but yeah, some of our fun sessions, etc., at the weekend have been at capacity. And kind of like I referred to earlier, I think, you know, attendances are not a challenge at the moment, and we're finding more and more people are just coming to an odd class rather than having a membership. And actually, anecdotally, speaking to some of the instructors from, say, Group X classes at Exmouth Leisure Centre, we're getting some people who've taken out a Pure Gym membership but are still coming to a specific class and paying as they go for it if it's a, you know, a class that they particularly enjoy. So yeah, yeah, there's no significant changes that we've made there, Tim.
Thanks. I've got Councillor Collins. Roy.
Thank you, Chair. I've been going to Honiton Sports Centre since 2013. I go twice a week at the moment. I've been down there today, and the changing room and shower room could do with a deep clean. There's stains on the floor. I've been there for months and months. So I have said to the cashiers about it, and they've thanked me. But this it needs a real good deep clean. Now, I do know people that have gone to private centres because they say it's dirty there. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take there's feedback that you'll just deal with in the normal way.
yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
not like I said, not feedback we've had consistently, and not something that's been raised to me. But yeah, absolutely, we can definitely look into that and take that on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Goodman.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to go back to the point that Tim raised, Matt, about the fact that the swimming is 27% up on the year. Now, I hear what you say, people may not be members, but do I actually may not be members that are coming as frequently, but a 27% increase is significant statistically.
Yeah.
There must be some rationale why that's happened. And if we can learn from that, it might help us. It might help you and us.
But the majority of it, like I said, there was about a 4% increase in effectively swimming lessons, which has been reasonably positive. But the rest of it all came from public swimming. So that's either people who are members who are just choosing to come a bit more often, or it's from those casual users. And like I said, all we can attribute it to is looking at those weekend sessions where we've had our fun sessions, and we have invested in new inflatables since that period. So those are more attractive, but those sessions have been at capacity. So yeah.
Okay, I just don't think.
Great, thanks, Matt. If we'll move on then to our next item is agenda item 9, the leisure strategy. No, it's not. It's the Cranbrook Leisure Centre update. And Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. As we have committed to for every leisure forum, we just give a quick update on the latest on the significant project around Cranbrook Leisure Centre. So really today is just giving you another reassuring update that things are progressing very, very fast. So since the last forum, we appointed design consultants, AHR, who are fast working through the various stages of design to come up with a, if you like, definitive model that we can use to base all our decisions on. Today we had a meeting with Sport England and we discussed all their usual considerations, because down the road we'd like to continue working partnership with them and this hopefully get some funding towards this facility. We are also at the moment engaging in dialogue with construction companies, contractors, to get an established feel for what exactly the market's doing at the moment. And that is resulting in a procurement strategy, which is due to come to ELT and to our cabinet in the near future. So Rachel Papworth has been working at point on this, supported by her team, and it has been rapid. I have to say, we're at a stage now where we are looking, hopefully, to undertake a public consultation in February. I think the date that we've earmarked is the 11th of February, is a public consultation event, and we will be sharing some of the key principles and outline drawings. I wouldn't say they'll be the detailed ones, and give people some assurance and a feel for what the new facility will bring. I think there is a member session identified for that, and there'll be invitations coming out shortly. I think it's between 1 and 8 o'clock on the 11th, and I think it will be held in Cranbrook. So hopefully there'll be some more news coming out about that soon, and that will bring people and the public right up to speed. That essentially is the main messages from today with the paper. So happy to take any questions or to refer back any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Councillor Bloxham.
Thanks, Chair. Through you, can I just ask Mike for clarity on that date? Because I was originally given a date of the 4th of February. So can we just double check, please?
Okay, not a problem. I have got written down the 11th, but I will double check, Kim. I think more literature and information is due to come out. So hopefully that will put to rest any confusion.
I'm hoping it's the 11th because I'm away on the 4th. So if it is the 11th, that's good news for me.
That's probably why they did it, Kim. I'm sure.
Of course,
but,
yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, no, I think obviously it's important we get that consultation rounded off. And it's good to actually hear the times, bearing in mind the demographic in Cranbrook. Needs to obviously carry a wide range of timings to allow people to actually attend. So that's good. Any other comments on this update? If not, sounds like good work's being done. Thank you. And we'll move on then to agenda item 10, play and pitch strategy update. Back with you, Mike. Quite a few pages. This one, 1761.
Yes, if it's helpful, I've got a quick presentation that I can share. Before I go into it, the premise really is that we get to a stage now where we have got a draft executive summary for a strategy and a draft action plan. The next steps really, which I'll come on to, is to get in touch with the parish and town councils and invite them to a webinar. And I'm talking inviting the clerk and perhaps a representative, a council representative who's on the committee or on the recreation committee or so on, to come along. And we've got a date penciled, and I believe it's the 3rd of February from 6 till 7. An invitation will go out tomorrow, subject to feedback I get tonight. And what I suggest to do is I'll just share with you an outline of that presentation, which captures a lot of the progress that we've made to date and some of the key headlines. So if you're happy, I'll just do that now.
Thanks, Mike.
So can I just check everyone can see the front slide? I'm just waiting for some thumbs up.
Yeah, we can. It's come through on the view where we can see the slides on the side, so it's a bit small, but it's come through.
Okay, right. I'll make it if I can do it to full size. There we go.
That's it.
Did everyone see that?
Yeah.
So from the beginning, just to explain that the playing pitch and open sports strategy is about looking at the need within the area and on the boundaries around that. It's not just the area itself. And the idea is to help shape and inform future planning and investment priorities. And it's based on a core sports for outdoor provision of football, rugby, union. There's no rugby league in this case, so I'll take that one out. Cricket, hockey, netball, tennis, and bowls. So when we talk to the parish and town councils, we will just quickly run them through the methodology and the approach that's been taken. So you'll see there right at the outset, I presented some reports based around the 10-step approach and each step that we had to take, or a number of steps we took as we went on the journey. So in early 2025, we did stage A. I don't propose to go through it because I presume you've listened and read the reports previously, but that gives you a flavour of what stage A was preparing the ground, essentially. Stage B was doing an actual audit of the actual facilities, gathering the information, and then starting to gather views from the clubs and from the users of the sites. That then led in the last summer to stage 3, where we expanded on that, looked, investigated and visited sites and tried to develop a clear picture of what current provision is and what future provision would need. And there's also an opportunity to identify some of the key headlines in that as well. Then in the autumn, last autumn, they started to picture and put together what the key findings were and what the key recommendations were, and started to form the basis of writing a strategy. And we'll go where we are now in stage E, is working through how we can pull together the strategy, apply it, and then how do we monitor it. So you'll see set out in the report, I've tried to focus on key themes as we work through the documentation. One of those themes to help courses of action was around protection of our sports facilities that we've got now, around the enhancement of the existing facilities that we've got, given that there's a lot of developments that goes on, which is piecemeal. So it's qualifying how do we get them to contribute to the increased footfall of existing facilities and so on, and to provide new facilities that are fit for purpose. In local plan terms, it's easy to argue the case for protection and provision. It's not so easy to argue the case for enhancements. So that's something that we have to work with in terms of the local plan and working with local people and local governing bodies to how we can support that. So the idea of those principles then set out what we need to do going forward. Well, of course, when doing that, we have to manage expectation. I think one of the key things in this particular action plan is what areas the district council is particularly responsible for, what areas in which we can offer some support and influence, and what areas we could probably just be an advocate supporting with a letter to a grant application or so on. So the key one for the district council really is around lead. What areas do we take responsibility for in this particular area, which I'll come on to in a minute. While we're doing this research, I thought it was important to reflect the fact there is a lot of good collaboration going on with town and parish councils at the moment. And there's some examples there that you can see where the planning obligations team, that's Jonathan and Melissa, have been working with the parish and town councils to develop schemes around Otterley in some of the larger parishes and also in some of the smaller ones as well. I haven't listed them all, but this gives you a flavour of the ways in which the team have worked with the town and parish councils and partners. So, for example, Otterley St Mary, FF stands for the Football Foundation. Hopefully you're familiar with Section 106 funding, which is dedicated to a particular area. Honiton have had the benefit of some SEAL funding. So that's SEAL Community Infrastructure Levy that they've bid for and been successful in achieving towards this project as part of a larger infrastructure. So that particular SEAL has helped towards the all-weather pitch that's going to hopefully go in the college before the end of 2026. So yeah, just giving you a flavour there of some of the different clubs and facilities in which some funding has been secured. And hopefully that gives some confidence that with the new action plan, we can continue to do that. So within the action plan, again, I don't propose to go into full detail, but I've tried to show where the lead, support and advocacy comes in. So I think at a district council, we probably need to hold ourselves to the mask around the things where we've said we would take a lead. And if you look across the report, there's probably about 4 or 5 things in which we are directly taking a lead on. And I think it's important to reflect that we're trying to manage our workloads, conflict, changing priorities, and the dynamics and demographics that go on across the district over the years. So, for example, in this case, we know that we have a direct link and lead around provision in Cranbrook and emerging in Markham as well. We continue to support the development in Honiton, for example, the Tower Hill application, subject to planning consideration, where there's been allocated some Section 106 money and some SIL money to support money from the Football Foundation as well. And St. Rita's Centre, our estates team work with the landlord to try and secure use of that site in the future as well. So things in which we have a direct influence on. Sorry, I'll jump the gun there. The advocacy role is, again, we can't really do a lot about what clubs do individually within their own areas, but we can support clubs. And then one of the things I know that I probably will bring a paper to next month or the next forum is around reflection on some clubs owning their own assets, but being charged a market value, for example. So I will come next forum, with a proposal that I hope will recognise the fact that some of these community assets are providing community value and not just a market value. And it's how we recognise that and how we apply it is the science that I'm trying to sort out at the moment. I've done the same. I've given a bit of an indication. Probably the main investment would probably be around all-weather pitches. So at the moment, we're aware we want to secure all-weather provision in Markham for football, rugby and hockey. And there's also a second stage development in Cranbrook as well, which may have some all-weather pitch provision. We want to continue to support the Honiton Community College project. And we're hoping that, subject to the last few hoops and hurdles, that would go through and work and start in the summer. But I appreciate that's a busy time for all contractors. So really it's a question of when we can get that sorted. We continue to work with Exmouth Town Council and to look at what possible space there could be to explore a rugby stroke football 3G pitch. Space is a premium in some of these towns, and it's working with existing providers to see what can be an offer. And look to support where possible additional use for match play in the all-weather pitches at Coaton, Sidmouth and Ottery. The one that probably we put as an advocate is much needed is floodlights at Sidmouth Leisure Centre, but we recognise that causes a conflict with the planning conditions and the planning obligations that are currently in place. So it's unlikely that we could be anything stronger than being an advocate at this present time, and have to perhaps look at a site somewhere else. There's a number of others around cricket pitches. Again, as a district council, we can support ensuring that there's provision in future development. We know that there's a real shortage of pitches in Exmouth, who are having to travel down to Exeter and other places for the third and fourth team games. So it's a case of what is it we can unlock to support them. And then adopt more of a backseat advocacy role with clubs that are trying to improve their wickets and so on. Again, we've got netball, we have tennis, and so that's pretty much gives you a flavour of the different sports and the approach that we're looking to take over the next 3 to 5 years. So we want to test it with the parish and town councils. We want to check that we've got the figures right. We want to check that we've got the places right, and that the prioritisation is also right as well. So the idea is to have a webinar, parish and town councils, to send a direct email and letter to schools and to the main clubs that they know it's out there and they have a chance to have a look at it and come back to us with any thoughts or feedback that they have. The idea is to collect all that feedback and then finalise the strategy, finalise the action plan by the end of March, so that I can bring it for approval and endorsement to the forum in April, and then on to Cabinet and on to full council. Ongoing wise, the idea is to come back to the forum on an annual basis to give an update on how progress against the action plan in a similar way as what we do with the leisure strategy. So yeah, happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thanks, Mike. Good coverage. I've got Councillor Loudon first.
Thank you, Mike. So I appreciate this is a playing pitch strategy, but I think sometimes and part of when I'm looking at your report at page 21 in section 3.2, 3 potential strategic courses of action you identify there. So you talk there, the third one, about providing new or larger facilities that are fit for purpose to meet demands for now and in the future for participation. Pitches are but one part of a successful club, important as it is. I mean, here's me prevaricating about it, and I'm no sports person, blimey. But if I take my local cricket pitch here in Sidbury, so the club has done well in recent years in its league, if that's the right phrase, the league, and therefore under the what's the cricket? Michael know the cricket over ECB, under the ECB,
yeah.
Under the ECB, as it's got more successful, it's then had to achieve greater. It's had to provide better facilities, so it's had to do something with its boundary, and it now has to do something with its clubhouse, its facilities. Is this all just solely linked at the pitch, ignoring any other aspect of it? Because slightly separately in Sidmouth, you've got Sidmouth Football Club, again doing incredibly well, and again, because of the football regulations, they've now had to improve their site, and therefore they're having to. So it's really, this is rambling now. So it's really a question of, is it just the pitch, or is this more than this? And is it likely that we would be able to make, would be able to offer encouragement to such as the local cricket club, who I think are scratching their head about how the hell they find an awful lot of money to have a new clubhouse and facilities. You get my drift. You get my drift.
I do. First of all, I would like to say, I must say a very big thank you to Strategic Leisure, to Jack in particular, who is the main consultant that we've used. I'm conscious that Jack's boss, Rachel, is on the call today. So I just want to put a bit of a shout out to say thank you for the work that Jack has done in working through this project. And he has been going into an awful lot of detail, especially with some of the national governing bodies and Sport England. To answer your question, John, Councillor Loudon, auxiliary facilities are all part of the assessment. So land and space is a premium, but it's recognised depending on the standard that the cricket is being played at, whether it's local community or whether it's sub-regional, sub-county, or somewhere like Exmouth, for example. Yes, they reflect the fact that the club has needs, and those needs include auxiliary facilities such as pavilions, or whether it be car parking, or whether it's because they're moving up a league, the ball netting is an issue. So ECB and the Football Foundation and other national governing bodies do have funding in which they support clubs who've got promoted, but that's hard to achieve. So this is where the strategic plan, working with the NGBs now, helps the dialogue, so that we can support them with this information, with this evidence, and with probably tap into some funding, whether it's Section 106 or whether it's SIL or something of that nature, to support either a grant application or a direct application for funding. So a lot of these cases, sometimes the clubs come forward with health and welfare issues, toilet signs, DDA compliant. It could be all sorts of different things. So yes, this is part of the evidence, but it's about working with them to understand what the real need is and how we can support them.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next, I have Councillor Faithful. Peter.
Thank you. We're talking about we want to get bigger and better and all that, but we're not going to be around for much longer, and we're talking long term. What have we got? Any particular plans for our wonderful reorganisation when we're going to disappear?
Thanks. Mike might have comment, but it is obviously worth remembering East Devon still, the land still exists, the pitches and everything else still exists, so we can't just down tools because this organisation isn't going to exist in 2 years'
But the
time.
money,
I think
it's a question about the money, though, isn't it? It's all very well having all these wonderful facilities now when we've got the money, but once we get soaked up into Devon County and their wonderful finances, it's going to have a major difference, isn't it?
it'll be up for any new authority to decide what it's doing in the due course, but we can't just down tools on everything because somebody else is going to take the lead in the future, I think, is kind of the steer on that point. Councillor Goodman, please. Sorry, I've skipped Councillor Collins. The numbers jumped around. I can count, honest.
Thank you, Chair. When I was first elected in 2023, we had meetings in Honiton and Blackdown House with the sports people, particularly John Liz, who wanted to push for a sports field up on Tower Road. And he was advised at that time by Tim Childs and Ed Freeman that planning permission would be very difficult in an area of outstanding natural beauty. And the fact it's a long way from the town up a steep hill with narrow roads. But you seem to have taken over his idea now in having pitches up there. It's a most unsuitable site. The land in particularly does not drain. It holds the water. You would have to have extensive drainage put in, and you'd have to have artificial pitch turf. You'd have to have whatever they call it. But the farmer who's been farming it now for probably 10 years or more, he finds it very difficult. It's been ploughed up for maize. This last season was the best crop they've ever had up there. Youngsters will get killed walking up there, I can assure you that, because the road's so bad. And also, if they don't get killed on the road, they'll get killed in the field. When Honiton Town Council discussed it on the 4th of December, one of the town councillors went up there and walked in the field, and he found 4 golf balls. I mean, have you ever been hit by a golf ball? They're very, very, very horrible things to be hit by. They'll do a lot of damage and they could kill you, hit you on the head. And if you have to put up netting, the netting would be very small and it would have to go up very high. And I understand it would cost the golf club £250,000 to put netting up to stop golf balls. And because the land is open countryside, you've got Offwell Woods next to it, which is 350 acres, where lots of bats live, and these bats come out and forage on these fields. Also, I can remember when we had skylarks up there nesting, and skylarks have pretty near disappeared in East Devon, and you're trying to get nature to come back, and that is one site hopefully skylarks could live on. Also, developers have been up there surveying the fields, looking at it for industrial sites. You're going to just extend the town a mile away. That's not right. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. I think Mike's I saw him take some notes, so you can obviously factor that into his considerations. Councillor Goodman.
You're switched off. Mike, you're switched off.
Sorry. I need to start by giving a non-pecuniary interest because I am on the management committee of Sidmouth Cricket Club. But I don't think that's important for what I've got to say. But I think we should not underestimate the quality of this report. I think it's one of the best reports I've seen from this council since I've been here, because it's not just about spending the money, it's about facilitating everybody talking. And that's what I was really impressed by, the quality. I think after the parish council meeting, I think we ought to look at, if we could get the strategy right, is to invite to webinar the sports clubs to talk about what's possible. And it's not about just spending money. It's about knowing what the priorities are. When I was really impressed with the prediction of what we would need to provide over the next sort of 10 or 15 years. I would say, Mike, on the cricket side, I think you've underestimated the future of artificial squares for cricket. It's growing, and it's something that cricket is now going to look at, because it's the biggest problem cricket have got, as John will say with Sidbury, is getting a groundsman in, the cost of it. But having artificial pitches costs a lot more. They still got to be maintained. But no, really, this is the makers of an excellent report, and I think that over the next few years we could really develop this. And I think that I think the people who put this together have done an excellent job. That's all.
Thanks. I've got Councillor Hookway next.
Oh, yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, so going back to the question of why we're doing it, I think it's really important that we get this playing pitch strategy agreed and adopted within the local plan, because it's really important that we identify these pitches, these facilities, and protect them. Now, in my ward, we have a situation where pitches, football and rugby pitches, were sold for development, and we are really now missing those pitches. So it's really important that we identify what pitches we've got and we protect them within the local plan. We know there's all sorts of issues there, and we really must make sure that we protect our pitches, and then working with town councils, we can improve and advance these clubs. Many clubs have already been talking to myself and Mike about these improvements that are included within the strategy document, and so it's really good to get this formalised. And I hope we have a really successful consultation. And finally, may I echo Councillor Goodman's comments about the quality of the report. It is an excellent report. Someone at Strategic Leisure has done a great deal of work. So my thanks to Strategic Leisure and Rachel and her team for a really effective report. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Nick. And Councillor Arnott, please.
Yes, thanks, Chair. So just to echo Mike and Nick, it's the report we hope to get as evidence. I'll just give on page 13, looking at the tennis courts, there's one on my patch in Collerton, the Peace Memorial playing fields. And I was at parish council meeting last night, and again I was saying, come on, we should be doing more with these tennis courts. They're two damn good courts there, and they're kind of locked, and getting access to them is made more difficult than it should be. And I'm absolutely delighted to see that in the report it's put forward as a recommendation that it should be one of the courts that is put forward for consideration of doing better LTA guided work online, the online journey to court. Absolutely right. So I think this is a fantastic report. And this point flows into Peter's point, and I do understand people saying this, but it's the opposite, Peter, I think, of what you're worrying about. So local government reorganisation is going to take a long time. At the very least, we will have an interim extra year here as East Devon. So we'll still be going to May 2028. So there's a lot, at least, and quite possibly beyond that. But the point about this document is that it is the thing that becomes the key archive to hand over to whoever the new unitaries are. It's absolutely essential. And there's a parallel. We're doing this as well around the arts and culture piece, working with the other districts and county. We've managed to draw down about £40,000 from the Arts Council. What that would do is help the whole of Devon capture every single site that provides any form of culture, art, entertainment in Devon. And again, that's the thing that you hand over. So we're doing two things here. We are, and this was one of our aims in effectively in inventing Nick's portfolio, was to make sure we understand, in the interest of the people, what our challenges, opportunities, assets are in sport, and feeding that, of course, technically into the local plan, but also making sure, which has not always been the case in East Devon, that we've got an accurate record all in one place. And this is brilliant. And I pay tribute. And I'm not one of those ones who goes, oh, thank you to everybody, because of course we are paying for this. But it would be graceless not to acknowledge that this is a damn good piece of work. And I really welcome it. And thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Paul. Peter, I've got your hand back up. If you can be quick, because you've already obviously spoken on this item.
Going back to what Councillor Arnott has just been saying, that it wasn't about, I wasn't even suggesting down tools or anything silly like that. It's about security and ensuring that, you know, once we get over that line, it's there, it's safe. That's, you know, rather than getting too extravagant and going over over a budget or whatever, or long term. Thank you.
No, thanks for the clarification. As a forum, then, we've been asked to make a decision on this one, so that we ask officers to consult with the local councils on the draft key principles set out in the report, and that comes back to the forum. I think it's meant to say rather than committee, for feedback and final petition for endorsement up to cabinet. I'm happy to move that from the chair, but Sarah, I don't know how people vote on Teams, which I probably should know. Reactions?
Yes, if you could just raise your electronic hand, please, to vote in favour. Thank you. So we have 9 votes in favour, which is all councillors. So that's carried. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you for that one. I believe now we're going to move into private session. I'm stalling while I read my notes. Yep, that brings our public meeting to an end, and I'd like to thank, obviously, those that have attended so far that will get unceremoniously booted out for the sake of our Part B. Thank you.